Welcome back to the third round with Amulet. We once again won the die roll. I don't think I've ever won this many die rolls in a row. Okay, so this hand is a cut and dry turn 4 Titan. We're up against a Luris deck. I think it's a keep. Pretty likely Arboreal Grazer isn't bad. It can range from okay to great depending on what our opponent is playing. If they're playing Death Shadow, then it's likely to absorb, 3 or 4 damage. But if they're playing the Prowess deck, it can absorb even more. So definitely happy to have that in our opening hand. Okay, so we'll start by putting in a bounce land. If we draw any ramp spell, then we have an earlier Titan, Goblin Guide. Alright, perfect. Arboreal Grazer, very good against Goblin Guide. We could pact for a Dryad here. I guess we could think more about that. Okay, so if we pact for Dryad, that actually may just be better. We know we're taking next turn off anyways. Or, I'm not taking it off, but we weren't going to do anything. So pacting for Dryad's probably correct. We're just going to be making land drops anyways. So might as well get out the Dryad now. We'll play this Gruul Turf. Bouncing the Forest. Alright, our opponent has a Swift Spear and another Swift Spear with no good attacks, but they are setting up for a pretty strong turn afterwards. We'll pay for Pact, and then just play out 2 lands. We definitely won't be blocking with Dryad. It's too risky to get it involved, but we'll definitely be looking to block with this Arboreal Grazer. Best case scenario for our opponent, they have a Searing Blaze here, which is definitely possible. 3 mana Rift Bolt the Arboreal Grazer. Not quite going to get there. Now we can block with Dryad without fear of repercussion because our opponent already played a land. Okay, we draw a Titan. So if we're going to haste a Titan here, then what we can do is, let's see. Can we haste a Titan, I guess is the question. I think the answer is yes, but we need to hold 1 land drop available. So what we'll do is we'll play this castle. We'll play Titan. And yep, our opponent scoops it up. Alright. Post board. We don't have too much. I think that Burn is already not a bad matchup with the Arboreal Grazers. Fire Spout should definitely come in. Cards that we can cut. Bajuka Bog probably is not great. It doesn't really do anything. It's just a tapped colorless land in the matchup. Unless we're considering Dismember, but I don't think we are. Beast Within's too inefficient. Reclamation Sage, also pretty inefficient. Force of Vigor also inefficient. We could board in one of these engineered explosives, though. I think that's reasonable. The question is, what do we cut for it? Karn's good because it tutors for Wormcoil Engine, which comes down the next turn. Azusa is a little bit fragile, maybe. Maybe it's just cutting an Explore. Let's cut Azusa. It's fragile. It dies pretty easily. It does let you make extra land drops, but we have a lot of acceleration. The Uro is nice to have as a tutor target. Although overall, I wouldn't say Uro's really impressed me all that much throughout this league. I just don't think Amulet really gets a lot of cards into the graveyard, so I don't fully understand why Uro's in the deck, but a lot of players have been playing it, and I don't play a lot of Amulet, so I took their word for it. We're just trying to learn this deck as best we can. Our opponent has a turn 1 Swift Spear. It'll be interesting here to see how to balance the engineered explosives with the Amulet of Vigor, because the EE is pretty awkward here to the point where I'm tempted just to forgo playing it. But obviously, if we were to play Amulet, we definitely don't want to just EE and blow up our own Amulet. So I guess if we draw an untapped land here, then we can EE on one. Otherwise, I think we just want to play the Amulet. We have a turn 3 Karn. We also have a turn 2 Dryad off of Summoner's Pact, though, so not as good. But still possibly good enough. Our opponent has Eidolon. That's scary. We can EE on 2 to clean it up. Another Summoner's Pact. Not a good draw. Our opponent's not applying a ton of pressure here. Next turn we'll go down to 14. They'll probably bolt us, so we'll be at 10. If they have another bolt, we're at 6. And there's the trigger from EE. So if we were to play EE here, it would be EE on 2. And then next turn we pop it. So I guess we'll pass here. It's possible we should have boarded a negate, honestly. If they play another 1-mana creature, we may just have to EE on 1 here. We're definitely taking a lot of damage. Our draw has not worked out to be fantastic. It's the risk of keeping hands without acceleration. Amulet is technically acceleration, but it's not really the best type. Okay, Crumbling Vestige is interesting because it's like acting as if it's a bounce land here without actually being a bounce land where you have to bounce a land. So we'll play the Vestige. Resolving a Titan would mean that we are able to get a Radiant Fountain, which would be ideal. As is, if we were to EE on 1, we're going to 6. And then down to... So if we EE on 2 here, then we get rid of the Eidolon, but our opponent still has 2 Swift Spears, which means we're dead to a Bolt. I think it's a forced EE on 1 here, unfortunately. It's a little bit awkward because it means that these Summoner's Packs are very weak, but I don't think we have much of a choice. From the sideboard, we can Karn for not much. We can't even Karn next turn because we're going to be killing our own amulet. Things are not looking great. Just took a little bit too much early damage, basically, in this game. Didn't have a very fast hand. Was kind of relying on drawing some type of ramp. Our opponent just rift bolts us, and we're dead. Yeah, we are dead. Okay. Reconsidering, I think on the play Zeus is a little bit better. Maybe cut one Ancient Stirrings. Consider, I think we want to keep this E still. I'd consider cutting a Karn though, to bring in a negate. This hand is so close to being good, but no green source means we can't cast anything. So we'll mulligan. Okay, this hand's good. Put back the battlements. This hand does play an early Primeval Titan if we draw one, but we do need to draw one. And if we do, we should be able to race. Opponent has Swift Spear. Swift Spear pretty reasonably better than Goblin Guide is in the matchup because it can grow big enough to beat Arboreal Razor, and we are a 30 land deck, 29 post board, but still, it's okay. This is great. Okay, so do we want to bounce a land or the Gruul Turf? If we bounce the Gruul Turf, it lets us cycle the Explorer this turn, so we're going to bounce the Gruul Turf. Oh no! Oof, that's really bad. We stacked our triggers wrong. That's really bad. So we basically just time walked ourselves that turn. That's really bad for us. Luckily, our draw is very good, so we still have a chance this game, but we would have been so far ahead, and now we're just kind of basically we gave them the playback, which is not what you want to do against Burn. We'll make sure we do that correctly. They just have Lightning Helix. We go to 13. We're still sitting nice, assuming we can draw a Titan. Okay, so let's do this correctly this time. So we want to stack Gruul Turf first, so that the Amulet trigger resolves first. So we untap, float, bounce Gruul Turf. Okay, play Dryad. Play Gruul Turf. Gruul Turf stacked first. Untap. Float. This time we'll bounce the forest. Explore. Okay. We have a Titan in 2 turns. If we top deck 1, then we have it in 1. We can't afford to block here, unfortunately. We just take one. Interesting. Is our opponent going to be taking the turn off to play Luris? That'd be very good for us. So again, we would have had a Titan next turn if we hadn't made that mistake, which would have almost certainly meant we win. But now we are in a bit of a precarious position. Is there a better line here? So we can transmute, have 1/2 mana floating, transmuting for anything. There's nothing particular I'm looking to transmute for here. Super unfortunate that that happened. Pretty frustrating as well. But it does ultimately fall on us to stack our triggers correctly. So we'll get a Summoner's Pact. We may be priced into blocking the Dryad here. Our opponent has 5 cards in hand. Definitely not ideal. They have a lot more ways to just goldfish us now. Helix, I'd say, is probably good. Better than Boros Charm, at least. But if they just have 3 burn spells here, we are dead. Searing Blaze is really bad. If they have double Searing Blaze, we're dead. When we would have won the game. Wow, do they really have double Searing Blaze? That's really disappointing. That's really disappointing. All right, so this game was ours, but we ended up blowing it by stacking our triggers incorrectly, and now we lose the match. All right, we'll be back for the next one.